Hey, what's up guys, this is Pratima and I am back with yet another video. Lately, Samsung has been flooding the market with different mid-range and premium mid-range phones, and one of them is the Galaxy M33 5G, which I have been testing for about 3 days or so. This phone is launching here in Nepal for 34,000 rupees for the base 6128 GB model, whereas the top end 8128 GB variant will cost 36,000 rupees. In India, it will retail at 22,000 Indian rupees and 24,000 Indian rupees respectively. So pretty much the same price as last year's M32 5G. This time, Samsung has brought a few improvements here on the M33, but sadly there are some big letdowns too that I am particularly not happy about. First of which has to be its display. It has a 6.6 inches TFT LCD panel whose quality is pretty subpar considering its price. I do appreciate the fact that it refreshes at 120Hz, which is a considerable upgrade from the 90Hz we got on the M32 5G, but because it's a TFT screen, the core quality of this display is not so good. I mean, it's not bad for a TFT panel, but just look at the difference between M33s and A33 screens yourself. The A33 has such a vibrant and contrasty AMOLED display, while the muted colors on the M33 are clearly visible. I am particularly disappointed at this from a company like Samsung that basically makes the best displays in the world. I mean, you kind of expect good quality screens in its mid-range phones too, right? But sadly, that's not the case with the Galaxy M33. I think for what it's worth, they should have at least gone with a 90Hz AMOLED panel. M33's biggest competitor, the Note 11 Pro 5G, provides a much superior 120Hz AMOLED screen and also a super responsive 360Hz dot sampling rate, so the decision to cut costs in this aspect does not look good for Samsung. However, you do get Wideband L1 certification and the phone can play full HD content on streaming services like Netflix and Amazon Prime just fine. Okay, design-wise, Samsung has cleverly given some good color options this time, so unlike most M series phones from the past, it does not look that bad. In fact, I am quite fond of this green color variant that I have. The back and the frames are made of plastic, so they don't exactly feel premium, but they don't feel that cheap either. There is no creaking or bending of any sort, whereas the phone does not feel hollow, and its weight distribution is also even across the chassis, so that's nice. With a massive 6000 mAh battery inside, this is one chonky phone though. And at around 200 grams, it has quite the heft as well. Luckily, as I said earlier, it is fairly well built, so I am sure you won't face any discomfort when using it. Anyway, you get a fingerprint sensor on the power button itself, and it is quite fast and reliable. It does not miss out on a headphone jack and expandable memory card slot either. There's a single speaker grill on the bottom that is quite loud too. The highs are a little more pronounced here, but the overall sound quality is good enough for casually listening to music or watching movies and stuff. Okay, now moving on, Samsung has upped the performance side of things this time. Compared to the Dimensity 720 on last year's Galaxy M32, the M33 features Samsung's in-house Exynos 1280 chipset, which we have seen on more expensive Galaxy devices like A33 and even A53. So performance-wise, there's very little to complain about here. The Exynos 1280 is comparable to Snapdragon 695 chipset that we have seen on plenty of phones at this price segment now. Therefore, regular everyday tasks on the M33 renders no problem at all, as you'd expect. The phone feels fast, and Samsung has made sure to optimize the 120Hz refresh rate well too. For instance, in PUBG Mobile, the max settings it can hit is HD graphics and high frame rates, where I was able to get stable 30 to 35 FPS gameplay. But as of now, you don't have options for higher FPS gameplay in PUBG, not even up to 40 FPS. It's a similar case with Call of Duty Mobile 2, where you can get smooth gameplay in its highest settings, which is medium graphics and very high frame rates, which is basically 40 FPS. But there is no option to go higher. Likewise, playing Genshin Impact on the M33 was not the best experience either. In default settings, I was able to get an average of 15 FPS with a lot of FPS fluctuation during combat. So I am hoping that Samsung will bring forth an update to better optimize games on its Exynos 1280 powered phones. However, the good news is that you can get full-fledged One UI 4.1 here on top of Android 12 right out of the box. And I am sure I don't have to emphasize much about just how good this Android skin has evolved over the years. Also, Samsung has been doing really great in terms of updates and has pledged for 3 years of OS and 4 years of security updates on the Galaxy M33 as well, which is great for a phone of this price range. Alright, getting to the cameras, I have managed to test its cameras quite thoroughly, where I also compared it against the Galaxy A33 to check if there's any difference in their camera capabilities. And in this regard, I found the M33 to be much inferior to the Galaxy A33, especially during nighttime. This is mostly due to the fact that the A33 has OIS in its cameras, while the M33 does not. As a result, A33's low-light images are much sharper, while you can see a lot of muddiness in M33's pictures. Plus, the night mode shots from the A33 makes the images respectably better by removing noises and enhancing the sharpness, while M33's night mode just makes the image a bit brighter and there is still visible grains and muddiness in the shot. Even during daytime, its 50-megapixel primary sensor brings out photos that are relatively less sharp with muted colors. As evident from these samples, A33's color optimization is also better and it has superior ASIA processing too. Overall, I found the primary images from the Galaxy M33 to be pretty average for the price. They're not necessarily bad, but I was expecting more from Samsung. Also, it has a 5-megapixel ultra-wide-angle camera as opposed to an 8-megapixel sensor on the Galaxy A33. So naturally, details are somewhat better on the latter. Likewise, A33's ultra-wide-angle images are superior in aspects like colors and dynamic range too. The 8-megapixel selfie camera produces okay-ish images though. I mean, there are very less details to enjoy here, but compared to the A33, its photos are not that bad either, at least in terms of color tone. For videos, you get the option to shoot at up to 4K 30 FPS, but sadly there is no stabilization here. So if you're looking to shoot videos from the Galaxy M33, I would advise you to switch it to 1080p 30 FPS, where you can get relatively stable results. The video quality is just okay though. From the selfie camera, the max you can shoot is 1080p 30 FPS, where the videos are a bit jerky, although they are okay for casual recording and such. Okay, so far things don't look that good for the Galaxy M33, but the big saving grace here has to be its battery endurance. Its sizable 6000 mAh cell coupled up with a 5nm chipset will provide you with a long-lasting backup, which I think is a blessing for someone whose smartphone usage pattern is rather demanding. In my case, I got around 8 hours of screen on time here, and those 8 hours consist of me testing this phone, which included playing games for a couple of hours and taking a lot of photos and videos. So on a comparatively lighter use case, you should easily get 2 days of battery life with the Galaxy M33. For charging, as you might already know, Samsung is not providing a charger inside the box, and you will have to spend an extra $15 to $20 depending on the region for an official 25-watt power brick. Using one of those, the phone can go from 0 to 100% in around 2 hours. In conclusion, as I said at the beginning of this video, there are some good updates on the Galaxy M33 compared to last year, like in terms of performance, a higher refresh rate screen, and longer software update commitment. But we also have to consider the fierce competition in this price bracket from brands like Xiaomi and Realme. Plus, the fact that you don't get a charger inside the box of the Galaxy M33 means the actual price that Samsung is quoting for this phone is kind of delusional. And as I discussed earlier, this TFT display is a major letdown for the price, while its cameras are nothing to get excited about either. So if your preference is great battery life and fairly good performance supported by timely software updates, I think you can still consider the Galaxy M33 as an option. But if you ask me, having tested so many mid-range phones this year, I do think that you will get better value with the cheaper Poco X4 Pro 5G, or by slightly adding more money on the Realme 9 Pro Plus instead. So guys, that is all for our full review of the Samsung Galaxy M33 5G. If you have any further questions about this phone, do let us know in the comments below, and do not forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that bell icon as well. Till then, I'm Pratima, and I will see you in my next one.